Brexit, in my honest opinion now, was a mistake.
Farage got his voting day, Boris Johnson on his way. Referendum, leave or remain, result will be close. Going to the...
This is a video that I've been thinking about making for a while. A Brexit video. I will put my hands in the air and say that I voted for Brexit.
I am not being racist, but
I was a Remainer in the morning, and then what happened was I walked up to my local ballot box. I was in the ballot booth, and I thought, you know what?
And here we go.
And something just changed, and even to this day, I'm still not too sure why I voted for Brexit. This video is going to be about why, in some ways, I do regret voting for Brexit. I'm going to go through the Vote Leave campaign and what they promised and what they said would happen, and try and compare that to the reality that we are facing at the moment. Trade with the EU will be tariff-free and without more bureaucracy. That was bullshit. Yeah. They've literally had to hire more people at my own job just to deal with the Brexit administration from transporting products from the UK to the EU. Lies. There is more red tape now, as seen with the queues in Dover, than ever before. They promised that the Northern Ireland border would remain unchanged.
We will, under no circumstances, have checks at or near the border in Northern Ireland.
Now, they are technically true. They said that there'll be no land border between Northern Ireland and Ireland, but what they've done is that they've moved the border into the sea, so that there's a border between the whole island of Northern Ireland and Britain. They're technically true, but it's still bullshit. Boris Johnson himself said that there'll be an end to EU supremacy over our laws. Technically, yes, for the mainland it's true, but Northern Ireland are still subject to custom rules, and therefore EU supremacy over their laws. Now, this is probably the biggest load of bollocks that has come out of all of this. We're going to reduce immigration.
A net migration increase of more than 500,000 people.
Now, I personally work with so many nationalities in my factory that I can tell you exactly what the experience is. During the pandemic, they had to fly over 40,000 Romanians and Bulgarians just to deal with the staff shortages in the fields. They introduced a visa point system, but they've contemplated lowering it because it turns out we've got no staff anywhere. Not in the NHS, not in the fields, not to care for our elderly and sick. So actually, but now what's happened is we've gone from having good, say, Polish migration and Latvian migration and Lithuanian migration, who are good workers and worked very well and has become harmonious within our societies, to Bulgarians, who are awful and stink. Gone from having skilled migration to having an influx of unskilled migration. And not to mention all the Albanians coming from across the channel. We're at the highest rate of illegal migration ever. Over 40,000 people crossed that channel last year alone. Immigration has not gone down, it's gone up. Britain will take back control of its fisheries, technically true, but not without a transition of 5.5 years. And effectively, we are going to issue licenses every year that already fish in our waters. We're not going to turn them away after all the years of fishing that they've been doing in our waters. It's just hyperbole, yeah? Half-truths. Yeah, we'll see what happens after the 5.5 year transition ends. Now, probably one of this other biggest claims of the Leave campaign. £350 million that were being sent to Brussels every single week can be diverted to the NHS. Now, under the Conservative government of the past 12 years, in real terms, funding for the NHS has fallen. Staff are leaving in droves. The NHS waiting list backlog is so long that they're on about monetising GP appointments. They're on about having to pay for GP appointments. What the Conservatives have done is that they brought the system to its knees so that the only knight in shining armour is semi-privatisation. No, give them the money that they deserve, give the staff a pay rise, recruit more people to the NHS, reduce the backlogs that you've caused due to your decisions in the pandemic and to lock us all down for no good reason. Yeah. And then we'll see. The Conservatives have ruined the NHS in the 12 years. I do agree that the NHS needs reforming, but you don't need to semi-privatise anything. When's the last time you were able to get an NHS dentist? How long's the waiting list to get your wisdom tooth removed on the NHS? A year? They are dying in corridors. They are dying in makeshift beds. Yeah. They are hiring people to just look at the cars to see who's there in the car park every single day. And it's all the Conservatives' fault. New trade deals going from Iceland to Russia.
The first step is to recognise that the Australia trade deal is not actually a very good deal for the UK.
I don't know if you've been seeing what's going on recently with Russia, but I don't think we'll be making trade deals with them anytime soon. The trade deals that Liz Truss, one of the best prime ministers we've ever had, were all just existing deals. Rewritten, reformulated and reassimilated the deals that we already had. And they're like, look what we've done. You've wrote the same line in 2 books, that's all you've done. Wages will be higher.
Nationwide wages, when compared with inflation, have fallen by the largest amount on record.
That's a joke, isn't it? Wages are terrible. It's alright for the Conservatives to lift the cap on bankers' bonuses, but they can't up the public sector's pay. This is always what I thought. There is plenty of money in the pot, but the money in that pot will go to wherever they decide, and they are not on your side. They could find £1 billion to give to the DUP to have 10 DUP MPs on the Conservative side when they're voting on legislation, but they can't find hundreds of millions of pounds for the public sector who really need it. What does that tell you? Michael Gove proclaimed in the Andrew Marr show that the union will be stronger as a result. No! Bloody hell, have they not seen it? We had the Brexit party form afterwards. Because it was that bad. I'm pretty sure they hate our guts for leaving. We left them a financial black hole. They hate us. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of settled with myself as voting for Brexit after the Brexit referendum. Because the way that they reacted afterwards kind of solidified, actually, you know what? They were extremely bitter. And there was just no need for it, actually. And the way they reacted afterwards kind of didn't make me feel too bad about my decision. And then another one. Cuts VAT on energy bills to save £64 a year. How's that going?
Hey, you! Let's save you some gosh darn money. I'm talking slippers, I'm talking dressing gowns, I'm talking blankets, I'm talking duvets. Get yourself warm.
While everyone's electricity bills have never been higher, the elderly are suffering and dying in cold homes, businesses are going bankrupt and slashing their opening times because they can't afford the electricity. Good jobs. And they Ofgem increased their price cap review to every quarter. So every quarter, instead of half a year they're able to up or down your prices, they get to do it 4 times a year. And they did it at a time when bills were only going to go up. So it meant that the energy companies were going to get their profits quicker and rip off the consumer quicker. Just saying. The new treaty should be ready within 2 years. That was one of their claims. We are in 2023 now. The Brexit bill was put through Parliament early 2020, agreed on in 2019 by the Boris Johnson government, and we still haven't resolved the Northern Ireland Protocol. Another lie. These are my thoughts. I believe Brexit was a catalyst for populist figures such as Boris Johnson to springboard from. Boris Johnson had 2 speeches. One to Remain and one for Brexit. What does that tell you? They used it all for their own political career. There was no game plan. There was no solidified idea of what Brexit was. David Cameron has also a massive part to play in this. During the Brexit campaign, we should have had campaigning from Brussels, from the EU, of what they do that's good, and how being in the EU benefits us. We didn't need we didn't need Project Fear. We needed proper statistical data, facts, figures, what would happen. Yeah, when you try and push someone one way, they go the other way. Yeah, that's just human nature. It's rebellious. Yeah, we should have had proper statistical, factual campaigning from both sides, so people could have made a better informed decision. But David Cameron said to Juncker, no, it's all right. We've got this. No one will vote leave. We've got this. We don't need your help. And look how it turned out. Brexit, in my honest opinion now, was a mistake. But it wasn't a mistake for the reasons that we all think. It should never have been done like that in the first place. It was a mistake from David Cameron, one of which he quickly ran away from.
On Wednesday, I would attend House Commons for Prime Minister's questions, and then after that, I expect to go to the Palace and offer my resignation, so we'll have a new Prime Minister in that building behind me by Wednesday evening.
Brexit has so far basically been a failure, apart from getting those miracle drugs a little bit quicker than the rest of the EU. But they soon caught up, didn't they? So yes, I do regret Brexit. I regret the way that it was I regret the way that it was designed. I regret the fact that there was no game plan. No one knew what Brexit was. The concept of Brexit kept changing. That's all it was. Brexit was a concept which turned into an ideology. And ideologies die. I don't think we'll be rejoining the EU anytime soon, because it would be too divisive. We already saw that from 2019 with Geoffrey Cox saying, "This is a dead parliament." Yeah, it will never happen soon. It won't happen in the near future. It's too divisive. But I think what we will see is some realigning slightly back to the EU in some way, but never a full rejoining. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Fuck you, European Union.